You know that scene in Iron Man 2 when Tony Stark drives his assembled tank into battle. Well, in real life, assembling a military war tank is not so easy. So here's what it takes to put together one of these behemoths. In order to understand how to assemble a war tank, we first need to take a look at what a war tank looks like. Generally speaking, a modern main battle tank consists of 5 major parts: the hull, the turret, the engine, the transmission, and the weapon system. The hull is essentially the body of the tank and houses most of the major components. The turret is what you typically associate with a tank and is what's used to rotate the weapon system. The weapon system is usually some type of large caliber cannon along with its associated firing controls and ammunition storage. The engine powers the tank and the transmission controls the movement of the treads. Now, depending on the type of tank and its manufacturer, there may be slight variations in terms of how these systems are integrated. But for the most part, this is the basic structure of a modern war tank. In addition to these major components, tanks also have a number of smaller parts such as the tracks, road wheels, suspension system, fuel tanks, and various other pieces of equipment. Some of these parts are installed during the initial assembly of the tank, while others are added later on during maintenance or repairs. So let's say you're a soldier who's been tasked with assembling a tank. Where do you even begin? The first step is to gather all the necessary parts and tools. This may mean going to a warehouse or supply depot to pick up the components, or it could involve retrieving them from another location. Once all the parts have been gathered, the next step is to lay them out in a logical order. This will make it easier to see what needs to be done and will help to ensure that nothing is forgotten. A typical tank assembly might start with a hull and then move on to the turret, engine, transmission, and weapon system. However, this is just a general guideline and the actual process can vary depending on the situation. Sometimes it may be necessary to work on multiple parts at the same time or to move from one part to another in order to complete the task more efficiently. Once everything is laid out, the next step is to begin the assembly process. This is where things can get really tricky because putting together a tank is not an easy job. It requires a lot of precision and attention to detail. The first thing you need to do is install the tracks. This involves attaching the track links to the road wheels and then securing them to the hull. It's important to make sure that the tracks are properly aligned and that they're tight enough to provide traction, but not so tight that they cause the tank to ride up on its tracks. You don't want to be too loose or too tight, just Goldilocks in the 3 bears. Next, you'll need to install the road wheels and suspension system. This involves attaching the road wheels to the hull and then connecting them to the suspension system. The suspension system helps to absorb shocks and bumps while the tank is moving, so it's important that it's properly installed. Next, you'll need to install the turret. This involves lifting the turret onto the hull and then securing it in place. The turret is what houses the tank's weapon system, so it's important that it's stable and secure. Once the turret is in place, you can start installing the weapon system. This includes mounting the cannon and its associated firing controls and ammunition storage. The weapon system is obviously a critical component of the tank, so it's important to take your time and make sure everything is right. At this point, you'll need to install the engine and transmission. This involves attaching the engine to the hull and then connecting it to the transmission. The engine provides power to the tank while the transmission controls the direction of movement. Both components are crucial for mobility, so they must be installed correctly. With the engine and transmission in place, you can start installing the remaining components such as the fuel tanks and other pieces of equipment. This is where attention to detail becomes especially important because every piece has a specific function. For example, the fuel tanks must be installed in a way that ensures they're properly secured and that they have access to the fuel lines. Similarly, any electrical or hydraulic lines that run to or from the components must be routed correctly to prevent damage. The final step in assembling a tank is to conduct a thorough inspection to ensure that everything is in working order. This involves checking all the connections to make sure they're secure and that all the components are functioning properly. Any issues that are identified during the inspection need to be addressed before the tank can be considered fully assembled. And believe it or not, that's pretty much it. By following these steps, even a novice can learn how to assemble a tank. Of course, it helps to have some prior mechanical experience and to follow detailed instructions. But with the right guidance, anyone can put together one of these machines. Just remember to take your time, pay attention to detail, and double check everything before moving on to the next step. Now let's talk about what happens after the tank has been assembled. What happens then? After a tank has been assembled, it's ready to be put into service. This means that it can be used for training, maintenance, or combat operations. However, it's important to note that even a fully assembled tank requires regular maintenance and care to ensure that it remains in good working order. This includes tasks such as cleaning and lubricating the tracks, checking the fluid levels, and conducting regular inspections to identify any potential problems. Additionally, tanks are often used in conjunction with other types of military equipment such as armored personnel carriers, artillery, and air support. Therefore, it's also important for tank crews to train and coordinate with other units to ensure that they can operate effectively as part of a larger force. One of the key benefits of using tanks is their versatility. Tanks can be used in a variety of combat situations, including offensive, defensive, and reconnaissance missions. They are also useful for providing fire support to other troops or for suppressing enemy forces. During combat operations, it's important for tank crews to follow proper safety procedures to minimize the risk of injury or death. This includes wearing appropriate protective gear, following safe handling practices, and conducting thorough inspections before and after use. It's also crucial for tank crews to receive adequate training and to participate in regular drills to ensure that they're prepared for a range of potential scenarios. Overall, the assembly of a military war tank is a complex and challenging process that requires skill, precision, and attention to detail. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a rookie, taking the time to learn the ins and outs of tank assembly is essential for success in combat operations. With the right knowledge and training, you can be an integral part of a tank crew and help your unit accomplish its mission. Do you think you could assemble a war tank by yourself? How long do you think it would take you? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave us a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload from us. We keep you up to date on all the latest news from the world of tech and beyond. Thank you for tuning in.